Your dreams will come true if your mind isn't glued to the fact that life is so blue. There, it's Sandy and AnaLynne here, and welcome to the Sandy and Friends podcast. Today we're talking with Audrey Dunham. Oh my goodness! How are you, Audrey?
I'm great. How are you? Both.
Well, AnaLynne, I can't. Oh, I think she's well. I'm well.
That's great to hear. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming to talk to me, Audrey.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Oh my goodness. Okay, AnaLynne's gonna try to ask you some questions. I don't know. I think she's a little bit excited. A little bit, yeah, just a little bit. AnaLynne, would you like to start us off here? Okay. When was it that you first took an interest in cooking?
Oh my. Let's see. Well, that goes way back to childhood. I used to just kind of follow my mom around a lot. My mom and I have always been very close. And so after I got home from school and she got home from work, she was a school teacher, we would be in the kitchen trying to figure out dinner. And a lot of times it was something very simple, but delicious. She always had her special spin on everything. And so whether it was spaghetti or some sort of hamburger helper or tacos, she had her little techniques on how to make everything simple but delicious. And then I got the bug for that, for cooking in that way. And then when it came to baking, though, that was something that I really had a passion for. Once again, starting with my mom, we would bake cookies, especially around the holidays. We would take one day where we just baked all day long, all the favorites, and then we would set out a whole bunch of platters and maybe 10 or so, and just create these amazing cookie platters for the teachers, for our neighbors, for close family members that live nearby. And it was just one of my favorite days of the year. And so I have so many special memories in the kitchen with my mom cooking. It just carried on throughout my life. And it really is a big part of why I do it now.
Golly, I wish I lived next to you. When was it that you decided to pursue it professionally?
What's interesting is that I had two passions in my early teens and early 20s. I loved cooking and baking, but I also loved fitness. And so I wanted to find a way to make those two worlds work, because in my experience, I would train for fitness competitions and whatnot in my 20s, and it was so bland and boring when it came to food. It was almost celebrated amongst the fitness industry how tough you were because you could eat this plain food over and over again that was going to be the healthiest food. And I just wasn't cool with that. I just really wanted my food to taste good no matter what, even if it was super healthy. So I started getting into spices and exploring there. And then all the while I was training for fitness competitions, I would literally be doing cardio while watching the Food Network, learning about techniques and baking and getting inspiration for new recipes that I wanted to try as soon as my training was done. And then as time went on, I realized, okay, I think I'm done with the fitness industry. I think I'm done there. I really want to start sort of improving my relationship with food now, because things sort of became black and white, like this list of healthy food versus bad food. And I wasn't super crazy about that. I want a little bit more balance in my life. I think that most people do. So I started exploring, okay, if I were to start baking and cooking really delicious meals, but still wanted to make them healthy, what would that look like exactly? And so I started exploring that, and that eventually led me to the vegan lifestyle, which I follow now. So I've been actually vegan on and off for years, and sort of was in this tug of war with training for fitness competitions, being told I needed to eat lots of meat and whey protein shakes, but then also following my heart and knowing, you know what, I think I'm meant to either be vegetarian or vegan. And then finally deciding once and for all around 2017, summer of 2017, that was the way I was meant to go. And it has led to a blog now that I have, to cookbooks, some cookie mixes that are made with high quality ingredients, flowers that you wouldn't even believe were in there because the cookies are so decadent, things like that. It's been a wonderful, crazy, fun adventure, and I'm not done yet. So there's the long answer.
Oh, I think that's fantastic. Believe me, I love long answers. Tell us a little bit more about your blog.
So the blog, as people do, it has changed. And so as my life changed, the blog has changed too. So I launched it in 2015, the same year that I launched my cookie mix line, Peanuts Bake Shop, which is named for my husband's, Jeff Dunham's most famous character, or one of his most famous characters, Peanut. And so the cookie mixes are both vegan and gluten-free, but the goal was to make sure that you couldn't tell. And so that was my ultimate goal, was to create a very decadent cookie mix line where people didn't feel like they needed to sacrifice in order to eat gluten-free or vegan. So anyway, so the blog did start out with both recipes and fitness tips. And then as time went on, I felt, okay, I have kids now. I actually launched the blog while I was pregnant with my twin boys. And I launched the cookie mix line while I was pregnant with them, which was insane. Such a crazy idea. And don't recommend it. Don't launch a business while you're pregnant with probably just even one child, would be insane. Especially if it's your first. But so there's some advice to put in your back pocket, Sandy, for many years from now. But anyway, so so the blog slowly changed as time went on. I thought with little kids, I really wanted them to have a great relationship with food too. I didn't want them to be confused as to what they should be eating. So we work a lot on foods that we eat all the time, and then foods that are sort of in the treat category. And there's nothing that's bad. There's nothing that's evil necessarily, but there's foods that we eat sometimes, and then there's foods that we eat most of the time. So, and then, so I feel that there's a balance in there where we honestly have dessert every day, and it's just when and how much and that sort of thing. And so the recipes on my site are a nice mix of those everyday, most of the time foods, as well as a nice treat category too.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. You seem so organized.
I'm so happy I come off that way.
You do. I can't imagine being that organized. I can't even get my calendar together. How do you go about making things that don't necessarily have sugar and all these bad things in them taste so good, like your cookies?
Well, I actually do love sugar. It's so I should clarify, there are some recipes on my site that are in like the lighter treat category. And so those will be made with dates, things like that, are actually just a better quality sweetener, maple syrup. They're just less processed. And then of course, I love having a dessert that's made with real sugar, simply because, those other sugar sweeteners are fantastic as well and will satisfy that sweet tooth. But sometimes there's a birthday, a holiday, special occasion where I really feel like you need to go for it. Otherwise, people are going to be disappointed, especially if you're serving to family and friends. So, and then especially if you say, okay, well, this is vegan, people are going to be like, okay, they're going to expect it to taste bad. So you got to prove them wrong. You got to knock their socks off. And so in order to do that, you have to use some indulgent ingredients. So sure, yeah, I used organic sugar, and I use the highest quality that I can at every opportunity. But I feel in order to really make a special occasion feel special, then you got to go for it.
No, that's fantastic. Who do you find to be your largest influence in this area?
Oh boy. So, well, there's some incredible vegan recipe creators out there. There's tons. Chef Chloe Coscarelli, she's amazing. She was on Cupcake Wars, a show on Food Network, I don't know, 8 years ago or something, and won with her vegan cupcakes, which really paved the way, not only for her own career, and she deserves it, she seems lovely, but just for the vegan industry in general, and showing the world that you can have some really amazing, decadent food that's also completely dairy-free, egg-free, and meat-free, of course. But there's a ton of really amazing recipe creators out there, but just in general, from a business standpoint, I look to people like Ree Drummond, the pioneer woman, and then also Martha Stewart, of course, these people who have written cookbooks and they have product lines and also a strong presence online and are very well known and respected and loved. And then of course, I've always looked at Oprah in a way. I mean, I grew up watching the Oprah Winfrey Show and also had the pleasure of meeting her a few years back. And she's just a lovely human being who's so strong, has accomplished so much. And so I truly hope to be somebody like that someday, where people think only fond and wonderful things about me when they think of me, and that I've had a nice influence on their lives as well. And for, and done some good. We've truly helped make people's lives easier and better and more delicious.
You say this like you haven't.
Well, I feel like I have a lot more to do. And I think that's pretty normal for somebody who has kind of like that entrepreneurial spirit. Like, yeah, I don't think you've ever really done.
You've influenced me.
Oh, thank you.
I always bake, and it's all your fault, Audrey.
So wait, so what's your favorite thing to bake? I gotta know.
Oh goodness, I don't even know. Well, I like making cookies. I realize that's a really basic answer.
Me too. But, me too.
I love sharing it. I don't know. I think that's so much fun.
Cookies are so easy to share. That is so true.
Exactly, right?
And they're just like this little individual treat. It's just like your special little dessert, your little treat. And I agree. Those are my favorite too.
She never shares with me. I remember very vividly getting in big trouble with a recipe once, and you pulled me out of it. What was it? I think it was like cornbread or something. I don't know, but
oh, okay. Okay, so what was it exactly? Do you remember what happened?
I don't. Oh gosh,
that does ring a bell, but I can't remember the details. But anyway, I'm happy to hear I was able to help.
I think I got everything right, but I think it was generally spraying the pan, because when I brought it out, it all fell apart. And I think I sent you a video and I said, help.
Okay. Yeah, it depends. I mean, because if you're looking at gluten-free, so gluten-free is another ball game. And the reason why I do a lot of gluten-free and I do a lot of, well, my cookie mixes are gluten-free is because I just wanted to include as many people as possible. And I just felt like there's a lot of room for improvement out there. But yeah, there's that can be one way that it didn't turn out. I'm not sure if you did gluten-free or not, but that can be tricky if you don't have some xanthan gum added in here and there when you need it. You don't always need it with gluten-free recipes, but when you need it, you need it. Cornbread is one of those places. So.
Oh my gosh, talking to you about food is like the wildest thing. You're just totally in your zone here.
You found the way to my heart.
Actually, I think that was me. Yeah, sure.
Yes, you too, of course.
When did you decide to create your website with all these recipes?
Yeah, so that was 2015. And like I said, I was pregnant with my boys, and it felt like, I think that maybe part of it was I realized, okay, my life is about to get insane with kids, but my career isn't really where I want it to be yet. So maybe I should hurry and kind of get that in place too. Maybe that's where I was coming from at the time. I think it took a long time for me to figure out what I wanted to do and where I fit in. I felt like the fitness industry was so saturated that there was, and at the time I wasn't 100% vegan. I was vegetarian, I think, 2015. But what's interesting is that I decided to make it a vegan blog right from the start. I think just because it was a fun challenge. But there may have been like a couple of recipes that had Greek yogurt in or something like that, but those were quickly taken out after I switched over. But anyway, yeah, so I just realized my happiest moments were when I was in the kitchen. And if my family was with me, even better. So of course, now when I have my boys, they're 6.5 now, my twin boys, and they're in the kitchen with me, those are truly my happiest times, whether we're making cookies or muffins or something. And in fact, they're at summer camp right now, and we have plans. We're going to make Rice Krispie treats and banana chocolate chip muffins this afternoon. It's kind of nice to have a little plan so that they're not wanting to jump on iPads or watch TV. So, there's always moments for that too, of course, where they need their downtime, but But I think most parents would agree with that, just as long as it's limited. But if we can have a plan as to some sort of fun activity, and if it involves being in the kitchen, I think that that's a nice way to spend time. And it teaches them sort of a foundation for cooking and baking for the future so that they can feel confident trying any recipe as they get older. So that's going to be something I encourage as long as they're living in my house.
Oh, that's wonderful. So have they taken an interest in the area of cooking?
I would say James more than Jack. So James is my little brunette. Jack is the redhead. And what's funny is that most people will say, well, Jack looks just like Jeff and James looks just like you. And it's so true. And what's funny is that the personalities match as well. So Jeff will spend some time in the kitchen, but he doesn't have a passion for it necessarily. And Jack is sort of the same way. He's kind of like he chose the Rice Krispie treats for today, and we're going to use some vegan marshmallows and the whole thing. But I just know him. His patience and his desire to be in the kitchen is a little less so. And so I'm going to have the Rice Krispie treats made ahead of time. And then he wants to dip them in some white chocolate. I happen to have some dairy-free white chocolate. And so I know that that's the part he's looking forward to. So I'm going to prepare the Rice Krispie treats first and then have it so he can just do the white chocolate part, just knowing his personality. So.
Oh, so James has taken a real interest in this?
He has, much more so. And I would say when he was about 4, maybe 5, he would say, can I just grab some ingredients and we'll just stir them together and then put it in the oven and see what happens. And sometimes he would just want to eat it raw as is. And so I let him do that a couple of times. It was always very interesting. Like he'd grab like some cooking oil and flour and like protein powder. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know. Sometimes it was just a bunch of ingredients that wouldn't turn into anything. It'd be like oil and maple syrup. He'd be like, let's see if we put this in the oven, put it together, put it in a muffin tin. And so we did a couple experiments, but then I realized, okay, we're going through a lot of really precious ingredients now. So now we need to start following recipes. So, and I feel bad. Like sometimes like he really wants to get creative and I find different ways. Like I'll let him decorate cookies or decorate something else or have fun with making pancake shapes and things like that. But when it comes to just throwing stuff in a bowl, I'm explaining to him now, okay, let's see if we can find a combination that it will actually result in something you want to eat.
That's actually very funny.
Yeah, it is.
No, but it's really neat that you let them explore that entire world. I mean, that's just the coolest thing. I mean, having that.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, we have a lot of fun. Yeah, we have a lot of fun.
Oh gosh, I can't imagine. Are they big fans of your cooking?
Well, I have to say, yes, they're very sweet. They will tell me all the time, Mommy, you're the best cook. You're the best cooker. That's what they say. And Mommy, your cookies are the best. And so of course it warms my heart, but they are amazing taste testers too. So if I'm trying out a recipe, if I'm working on a cookbook, it's really funny. So my little boy, Jack, he has his own little way of letting me know if he doesn't really like something, but he's very polite. So I'll hand him a cookie or whatever it is. He'll take a bite. He'd be like, it's good. And then he'll walk away. And if he finishes it as he walks away, then I know he really does like it. But if he doesn't, he'll just set it up on the counter and walk away. And sometimes he'll say, I'll save it for later. Or sometimes he won't say anything at all. And then I just know, okay, yeah, he's right. It needs work. It's very sweet about it.
Oh, that's adorable.
Jeff is a great taste tester too, though. I mean, and he of course is a little bit more straightforward about it, and I want that. I want the honesty, and he's really a big fan, I should say, of my cooking too. And sometimes I won't even let him try it if I know it's not perfect. But sometimes I'll ask, be like, do you think it's too sweet? Do you think it has too much salt? Do you think it needs this? Does it need more acid? This and that. And he has a great set of taste buds and gives me great feedback too.
When Jeff doesn't like something, does he just sit it on the counter and walk away too?
No, you know what's funny about Jeff is that he has a pretty good appetite. He loves food. So, and I think that he came from a household where he was told, don't waste any of your food, clear your plate. A lot of kids, they grow up with that. And then what happens is that they have a hard time wasting any food whatsoever, and they will clear their plate no matter what. So he's one of those people, like, even if it's kind of bad, he'll finish it anyway.
Oh, well, that works as a great taste tester.
Yeah, I mean, it's ingrained. And it's funny because I'll tell them, okay, I know this isn't great, but what do you think? Is it because it needs more sugar or less sugar? And I'm like, you can just tell with your first bite, you'll be able to know. You don't need to finish it in order to be able to tell. You'll be able to tell within the first bite. And he'll sit there and be like, if it's cookies, he'll take a bite. He'll go through like one cookie. I'm still thinking about it. One more cookie. I'm like, why are you doing that? Don't waste the calories or whatever. Cause sometimes he's getting ready for a photo shoot or something. And I'm like, guys, you have to try the next batch. So just wait and just say he just comes from that upbringing of like, you don't let any food go to waste.
Oh, that's so funny. So when you guys did Incredible Edible America, is that right?
Oh man. Yes. Food Network show. Yes.
Yes, I'm really interested in that actually. How did that whole idea come about?
Wow. Okay. So this was a long time ago. The conversation started about 2016. We met with Food Network in New York, which was a major highlight of my life. Just going to the Food Network headquarters was a dream come true, truly. And met with the head of programming there. And of course, at the time, I was starting to lean towards the vegan lifestyle. I wasn't 100% yet, but it was majority of the time. And at that time, the idea of doing anything vegan was absolutely not an option for Food Network. They were just not ready. And you can't blame them. They have to go with what their audience truly wants. And at that time, they didn't feel the audience was ready for anything like that. So what we were told was, not by Food Network, but by other people on our team, why don't you just get your foot in the door, do show, maybe that's more vegetarian, that sort of thing. Just make Food Network see that you're a great host, that you belong there. And anyway, so we ended up with this idea of a show where we would have extreme foods and just go and find the most incredible dishes out there. And they're usually extreme. So it'd be like the world's biggest ice cream sundae or the world's biggest pancakes that look like manhole covers. And it was the best. It was so fun, but it was a little tricky because then we'd go to like the best barbecue place in Texas. And at the time I'm like, Jeff, you go ahead and eat that meat. And I'll sit here and I'll eat some of the other stuff. And I mean, so ultimately that was a little tricky. And so we didn't end up doing another season. And after we filmed the show, so sure enough, I decided to go vegan. And so it worked out for the best, but I have this fantasy of someday doing another version of it, maybe looking for the best vegan foods out in the United States. I don't know. And of course, having a cooking show on Food Network would be a dream come true as well. But in the meantime, I have my YouTube channel and I have my little cooking show there.
Oh gosh, I would totally watch a show with you. Oh my gosh, that would be incredible. What would you call it?
Oh, I don't know. I've kind of thought about different things. I truly feel the hardest time for anybody to even wrap their mind around being vegan is at the holidays. And I have to apologize because I know that as I talk, I use the word vegan over and over and over again. So just forgive me. But but I just feel like that is the time when people have the hardest time with even wrapping their mind around it because they grew up with these certain dishes that they had and they can't even fathom the idea of not having those dishes at the holidays. And so that was the inspiration behind my 2 cookbooks. I have vegan Christmas cookies and cocoa, and I have vegan Thanksgiving dinner and pies. And eventually I would love to cover all the holidays, just to have sort of like these handbooks for when the holidays come up, you're able to make all your favorites with ease and not worry. Is it going to taste just like what I grew up with? Is it going to still be amazing? Is my holiday still going to be incredible and delicious? Is my family going to be okay with it? And what's so funny too, is that I think the thing that I hear the most from people, usually people with older kids, they'll say, oh my gosh, my son or daughter is away at college. They decided to go vegan and then now they're coming home from the holidays and I have no idea what to cook. I mean, if I had $1 for every time I heard that, I'd be rich. It was just, it's so funny. And people all think that they're alone. And this is like this challenge that they're faced with and nobody else knows what it's like. But I'm like, oh my gosh, I've heard that so many times. I got you. So here you go. And so I think having a holiday themed cooking show showing, okay, let's do Christmas cookies today, and just show people how to execute, how to make cookies without eggs or real butter, milk, or whatever. And then same with Thanksgiving. I think it'd be fun to kind of make it sort of like a special occasion holiday sort of themed cooking show. Maybe even if it's just quarterly and you're just, tackling whatever is going on in the season at that time.
Oh my goodness, a show about food and like sweets. That's like the most brilliant idea ever.
I think so too.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that would be incredible. Does Jeff eat vegan food?
Most of the time. So since I do all the cooking in the house, he would starve if he didn't. but every once in a while, my dad, who I don't think will ever go vegan, but never say never. Meat was just such a big part of his life growing up that I don't know if he'll ever go that way, but that's okay. And so he will sometimes make something and bring it over at a holiday. And so Jeff will have a couple bites. And, it's just like if we're in a restaurant and there's something like super unique that maybe his daughter Ashlyn got, and she's like, you have to try this. He'll take a bite or two. So it's not like he's super strict. I'd say he's about 99% of the time.
Oh, wow. So I bet he enjoys your cooking a lot.
I hope so. We keep things pretty simple for the most part. Lunch is our biggest meal of the day. So that's our time to have something a little bit bigger. I'll pull a recipe from my blog, and I'm definitely a morning person, like a first half of the day kind of person. I start to really get tired after, around dinner time. And so I keep dinner really, really simple. But lunch, breakfast, I do have a lot of fun.
I can't imagine not getting exhausted by the end of your day. I mean, on top of being a mother, you still have your YouTube channel and you cook, and oh my goodness, on top of your cookbooks. Oh my God, I can't even imagine being you.
Thanks. I would have to say, yeah, right around dinner time. Yes. And that's also when it's not good to think or make big decisions around that time either. As time goes on, you learn about yourself, and, I have to make big decisions the first half of the day before dinner time, because otherwise I don't feel like I'm always thinking with the right mindset, I guess you should say, because I really do get super tired the second half of the day. Not second half of the day, after dinner time, my brain is shut down. That's just time to chill with the family, hang out in the backyard, maybe watch a movie. That's about all I'm capable of. Getting the kids ready for bed, the story. That's about it.
I certainly do not blame you for that. Oh my goodness. We spoke a little bit about Peanut's Bake Shop, but I gotta ask you a little bit more about it. What made you decide to go the direction of centering the mascot around Peanut?
Okay, so this goes back to, like I said, I think our first conversation, it launched in 2015, but I think our first conversation about it was in 2014. I remember sitting down with our business manager, John, good friend of ours as well, and just saying, okay, I have this idea for a cookie mix. I think, since Jeff's characters have been around for 3 decades plus, and they're so famous, so well known, I really feel like they deserve to be on store shelves, just like Sesame Street, just like, and I just figured, his fan base was only going to continue to grow. And as he toured the world and YouTube got bigger and bigger, I just knew that he, with his work ethic and his loyal fan base, and of course, just his overall talent, business mindset, and just the whole package, I just knew that it was only going to grow. And so I figured, okay, let's get these characters on store shelves. I want to be a part of it. Let me see if I can be the one that gets them in grocery stores, at least. So I thought, okay, Peanut's Bake Shop, great name for a cookie mix line, and we can make it super cute. We could put an awning on the top of the package. It looked just like a bakery, and put him in a little baker's outfit. It's just going to be adorable. Like I had a whole vision for it. And his business manager was very supportive. I was like, all right, let's get going on this. And so at first it was a whole different baking mix. I still kind of had like that little bit of like a fitness influence in my life, where I felt like people wanted portion control. So it was literally a cookie kit where you had like your flour ingredients in one little pouch, then your sugars, your 2 sugars combined in 1 pouch, and a vanilla powder, and then another pouch that had your chocolate chunks, and then another packet that had your ground flax seeds that you needed to mix with water to create your egg replacer. So it was this whole deal, and it came in a box. And we manufactured our first round, found a company that would do it. And they were actually this giant co-manufacturer. They were doing like Duncan Hines. They had this facility that would like covered a whole city block. It was just gigantic. And we were this tiny fish in this giant pond. And so they're like, okay, yeah, we'll have time to do your mixes for you. No problem. So we'll fit that in, and then we'll ship them out to you guys in Vegas, because that's where we were living at the time while Jeff had a residency there. And so tried them out, and I was like, these aren't right. There's something wrong here. And sure enough, like the baking soda and the salt were left out. And we made 7,000 of them. It was insane. So this was the beginning of a really crazy road of trying to get these cookie mixes just right. Ultimately decided to get rid of like the individual pouches and just put all the mix together in one bag. The idea, I should say, behind having them in separate bags was that you could just scoop out a certain amount and just make 2 if you wanted, or just make 4 if you wanted. So that was the whole idea behind that. And there's a chart on the back giving you instructions for each amount that you wanted to make. But I did a survey online, just the people that were buying them. And I said, do you care about this or not? And everybody was like, no, I always make all 12. So I'm like, all right, let's get rid of that. Put all the contents in 1 pouch. And then over the years, the cookie mix had evolved. And when I first had it on paper, was first trying out the recipes, they were not vegan, but then, and not gluten-free. But then quickly I realized, you know what, I want to be all inclusive. Let's make these really great gluten-free, really great vegan cookie mixes that are better than anything out there, because I feel like there's a lot of room for improvement. It just seemed like a lot of vegan and gluten-free mixes out there. Their packaging looked like cardboard, and then they tasted like cardboard. So I was just like, let's do something better. Let's make it an amazing experience, something that people who need gluten-free or not, they can all share the same cookies. There's no apologies because of the taste. It's going to be just fantastic. So that was the goal. And then had the first flavor, chocolate chunk, for a long time, a couple of years, 3 years, got feedback, did lots of surveys online, learned what people truly cared about, what they did in, and then just fine-tuned it and played around with a couple of different co-manufacturers and found, one that was a good fit. Then eventually came out with the second flavor, which is Midnight Chocolate Chunk, has a really deep, dark jet black cocoa powder used in it. And it's actually this, I'm going to put money on it. It's the same cocoa powder that they use in Oreos. It's just like, it's amazing, yummy flavor. It's got like a little hint of vanilla in it. So that's the second flavor. That's Jeff's absolute favorite, the Midnight Chocolate Chunk. And then funny enough, I started hearing from people that not everybody likes chocolate, which blew my mind. Right?
I can't live without chocolate. Oh.
Yeah, right? People were asking for oatmeal. So I came out with the cinnamon oatmeal cookie, and that is actually a big favorite for a lot of people. And yeah, so those are available on Amazon and on peanutsbakeshop.com. And I think they're actually also on Jeff's website. So if you wanted to get the cookie mixes along with some of his merch, you can order it all at once. So
oh, that sounds fantastic. Do you have a favorite of your cookies?
I think, I would normally never tell, but I'll tell you, Sandy, and you're, because it's like picking your favorite child in a way. But I think the chocolate chunk, since it was the original, and chocolate chip cookies were my favorite growing up as a kid. Like those are my go-to. And these are similar to that, except they have chocolate chunks, like the big pieces of chocolate. It really makes the cookies so gooey and yummy and amazing. So those will always be my favorite. And I have to say, I think most days I always have at least a piece of one. I just keep them in the freezer and I'll pull off a piece, and I usually have a half to one every single day.
Oh my gosh, that sounds absolutely delicious.
They freeze really well, which is really nice because you don't feel pressured to eat them all. You bake them, you can have like one or two, and then put them in a Ziploc and squeeze all the air out, stick them in the freezer, and then you have one whenever you want. That's
great. Oh gosh, I have some ordering to do now.
I'll send you some, Sandy. If you like to bake, then consider it done.
Oh, I feel so special. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
She's gonna share with me. Yeah, share with her.
I
Um,
hope
I
that
have.
she does.
What was that?
I said, I hope that she does.
Oh
I
yeah,
hope she shares.
I gotta ask you about the development of a cookbook. Goodness, I can't even imagine what goes into that.
Okay, so I'm going to try and not make this as long-winded as the cookie mix explanation, but so it was the start of the pandemic 2020, and I think a lot of people were forced to sort of stop and figure out exactly where they wanted their lives to pivot, some people were forced to pivot depending on what industry they were in, what truly made them happy. A lot of people had just a lot more time to think. And even though I was home with 2 kids now suddenly full time, my mom would come over too. She was in sort of like our little circle of people we were still being around, even though this is virus and everybody was scared to see each other. But my mom still came over quite a bit to help out, and the boys loved it. It really allowed us to get to know our boys a little bit better. They were 4 and just starting to talk, and they were learning in school, and we were trying to keep up with the schoolwork. And so it was interesting to see where they stood as far as what their strengths were in that regard, and where they were leaning as far as whether they're going to be math kids or not, and this and that. And so, but also during that time, I started thinking, okay, where do I want to go right now where I have a little bit of extra time, I guess you could say, even though my mom was only coming over 2 hours a day. I loved writing for the blog. I loved creating recipes for the blog, but I felt like I could help people on a bigger scale. And where do people really need help? And then going back to that idea of the holidays. And so I love holidays. We go crazy for holidays in this house. We decorate. I mean, you should see our storage where we keep all of our decorations. It's an insane amount. Just one of our favorite things to do is just go nuts for all holidays, especially Halloween and Christmas and Thanksgiving. We just really decorate, have so much fun with it. But then also, of course, comes the food. And I just wanted to help people with that. But I actually did present this idea to a literary agent at one point, doing holiday themed cookbooks. And I just got shot down. She's like, no publisher is going to want to do a holiday themed cookbook unless you're somebody like Ina Gardner or just Martha Stewart, somebody huge, because they can only sell it a certain time of year. They want a book that sells all throughout the year. So you see some people who will do a holiday themed cookbook, but it covers all the holidays. And I just felt, okay, I own a couple of those, but they kind of get lost and you forget about them. And I want something where it's Christmas time, you know exactly what book to pull out. It's Thanksgiving, you know what book to go to. Like, it's just super simple and it's there, it's reliable, and you have your favorite recipes. And so I just knew, I was like, okay, if I'm going to make this happen, I need to publish these books independently. I'm going to form my own amazing team with an editor, an indexer, a book designer, find an incredible printer, and do it on my own. So I had an assistant working with me at the time, Emily. She was incredible and did all my recipe testing. Actually, my mom did as well. My dad did a few recipes as well. I would just literally drop off ingredients on my mom's doorstep. Like, all right, here's the one for today. And my parents were great recipe testers, had amazing feedback for me. And then Emily, she lives a little further away, so she would purchase her own ingredients. I'd reimburse her, and then she test out the ingredients. And we just had to make sure that they were going to work for everybody every time. And I'd say Emily was more of like not a beginner, but kind of like intermediate. And so that was perfect. I just figured that's probably the average person. They have some experience in the kitchen. And then my mom, she's a little bit more advanced. My dad too. Like, they both can execute recipes really well. If it's written correctly, then they will be able to pull it off. So so it was a great little machine. I was able to write that book and turn it around. I think I started my first recipe for the Christmas book the first week of June. And I was so happy. I was so excited and I loved it. I just loved creating recipes for this book. It was so fun, and divided all the recipes up by week. So I had like 2 to 3 recipes a week, which was crazy. I mean, because if it didn't turn out after the first couple of tries, you suddenly get behind schedule. So like the next week you have 4 recipes. And so it was like the pressure was on, and to get it right. And it was a lot of having groceries delivered to the house because of the pandemic. And it was just having things brought to the house every day, lots of groceries. And thankfully Jeff was just so supportive and was into it. And after a while, like I remember the brownie recipe was the hardest recipe to perfect. I just wanted them to be really fudgy and amazing for that Christmas cookie book, and just felt like you had to have like some bar cookies in there. And I think I did 20 versions until I finally got it right. And it's like after a while, you have to take a break. Like you do like 6 versions, you're like, I can't do brownies anymore for a week. I got to take a break and then come back to it. So that happened now and then too. And then for the Thanksgiving book, it was pumpkin pie. And that was basically because pumpkin pie is such an important part of a lot of people's Thanksgivings. Like if like the vegetable side dishes like didn't quite turn out, or you didn't quite perfect it, wasn't as big of a deal as the pumpkin pie. It had to be perfect. And so, went through the same thing with the Thanksgiving book and pumpkin pie. It was like I remember James, even my son remembers, I remember you were making a lot of pie around St. Patrick's Day. It was the following year. So, but anyway, so I started the first recipe first week of June of 2020 and had it completed by end of August. So I got all the recipes done in 3 months, and then it was printed and done, ready to go after the editing and all that by Thanksgiving weekend. Really tight timeline, insane. And then kind of went through the same thing with the Thanksgiving book the following year, 2021. I think it was the first week of February. I'm like, all right, let's do Thanksgiving. I asked people online, okay, what do you guys want to see next? Do you want to do Halloween or Thanksgiving? Everybody's like, Thanksgiving. I'm like, okay.
Oh, I contributed to that.
Did you? Oh, thank you. What did you vote? Did you say Halloween or Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving, of course.
Oh, good. Well, then like oh yes, yeah. So my best friend Janet was like, because she's like 99% vegan as well. Like she'll have a couple things with her Swedish husband every once in a while that aren't vegan, like the, little things here and there. But she said that's where I need the most help. Halloween, yeah, I mean, you can make some cupcakes, some little treats here and there, but Thanksgiving is like, you got to get it right. It's got to be good. So I need help. So that was pretty obvious then after she put it that way. So
yeah, I'd have to agree with that, actually. I'm very intrigued about your ideas for a Halloween book, though.
Yeah, it's so fun. I mean, so the goal was to have that the third book, make that this year, and I wasn't able to do it. I have another project I'm working on right now. You'll be one of the first people to know about it when it happens, Sandy, but I can't talk about it yet. But it's been a 1.5 year long project of this new product that I'm coming out with, and I'm super excited about it. And hopefully it'll help a lot of people in a lot of ways to make incredible food in their kitchen on a regular basis, very simply and easily. So anyway, yeah. So
I'm very intrigued. I can't wait.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's fun. Like I really want to try and bring people back to the kitchen as much as possible, especially right now. We're in a world where a lot of people are having things delivered or pre-made. And especially when it comes to cookies, people are kind of drawn to these pre-made cookies. And I'm like, I think that people are missing out. Like if they have any interest in being in the kitchen, I feel like they should go for it and create memories just like I created memories as a kid. Why would you even want to miss out on that? And so creating products where you can really easily do that. And that was a big idea behind Peanuts Bake Shop too, which is to kind of get people back in the kitchen. And that's why the cookie mixes only require a little bit of oil and water, just super simple, but yet you still get to feel the cookie dough. You can taste little bites. There's no egg in it. So you're totally safe there. Get the smell in the house. It's fresh. The ingredients are nice and simple and things that and can recognize on the label. And so that's kind of like my idea and my inspiration is to help people very easily and simply have those amazing baking and cooking experiences. And so this next product is right along those lines. So hopefully the Halloween book will be next year. I want to make time for that.
Oh gosh, I again can't imagine your days. You've got all of these plans, and
it's like it truly is like there's not enough hours in the day, and you have to have a respect for time. Otherwise, because there's no way to get it back. I mean, there's 1,000,001 ways to fix all sorts of things in your life. You can listen to podcasts that will teach you about business or give you inspiration and make you a better person, give you better outlooks on life, or just a podcast that's super entertaining. But you can't learn how to take time back. Once it's gone, it's gone. And so that's one thing I'm I've been working on a lot this year in particular, where with this project, things are sometimes moving quickly, sometimes things are moving slowly. And so during those slow times, how can I best respect time and make the most out of the time that I have right now in these spare moments? And then of course, my kids being young, I can never get that time back. So having sort of these rules where you shut down the business as soon as it's time to go pick them up from summer camp or school, so that they don't have memories of their parents that are always on their phones, or that all they cared about was work. That's my worst fear. And so I just want to make sure that when I'm present with my kids, I'm completely present. When they're away from the house, I'm completely present with what task I'm tackling that day. So that's how you stay sane, is to sort of have these rules for yourself, and not expect yourself to be perfect, but to be as good as you possibly can each and every day.
Oh gosh. Yeah, Sandy doesn't know anything about being sane. Yeah.
That's okay. You know, some of the smartest and most brilliant people that make the biggest differences in the world are often called insane.
Well, then I'm not very sane either.
Well, there you go. You're a great match.
That's the wow, I can't say that.
Hey, there you go. Good job.
I was the one who said it. Thank you. Yeah, she's the one who said it. So wow, you know what? I think we should outline this overall. So what's it like being the mother of twin boys? Well, keeping up with your cooking and your website, and still having to put up with Jeff's dummies.
Well, I think that's probably one of the questions I get the most, is what's Jeff like at home, and is he always funny? And the answer is yes. He is funny, especially when things kind of get stressful or even sad. Like this is sort of like a horrible example, but when my grandpa, he lived to be very old, my mom's dad, he was in the hospital, and we kind of realized, this is many years ago, that he was probably living his last days, but thankfully he was comfortable and a lot of family was able to come out. And so it's very easy to be very sad in that situation, but because Jeff was there, we were all literally laughing till we were crying. And for somebody to be able to pull that off, I'm like, only Jeff could make every person in the room laugh when we're kind of in this middle of a period. You know, it's part of life, saying goodbye to people. It's inevitable, but he's able to make the best of it, I guess you can say. And he'll even make jokes at funerals. I hate to say, but you kind of have to be there to understand. Very appropriate, finding ways to find light. And he's just got a talent for that, being really good at walking the line, making it edgy enough to where you laugh, but not inappropriate. And so there's that. And so when I'm going through a hard time, he has with anything that might be going on in life, he has a great way of cheering me up. But of course, he makes little jokes here and there. Our boys think he's the funniest thing that's ever walked the planet. But he doesn't always make things talk. So that's the one thing that people ask too. If he always making things talk, the answer is no, but he is very funny a lot of the time. He does switch off the ventriloquist aspect for the most part when we're home. Every once in a while, he'll kind of sneak something in here and there and make something talk, but it's not as often as some people might think.
Oh man, that's great. I mean, you guys seem so happy, and I love seeing the posts of you guys together. You seem like such a wonderful family.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much. Yeah, we have a good time, and you know, we have really busy lives, really crazy busy lives, but it's all, I think you just kind of keep everything into perspective, just realizing the most important things, how special time is, as I was saying, and how it can go away so quickly. And now even I think back at the first days that when Jeff and I were together, for 7 years, I traveled with him, and I traveled the world with him, and I was making all of his food and writing his workouts. And so I had my little role that I played as well, and helped him pick the best foods on the menus when we went to restaurants and things like that. Even though we were a couple, that was my role, that was my job. And at the time, I felt like this was going to go on forever. We have all the time in the world. But then the boys are born and we thought we would take them on the road too. But I mean, it was literally impossible. There was no way to take two little babies on the tour bus and just be driving all the time. I mean, it's hard enough to hold a baby as it is for long periods of time. And then in a moving bus, getting up in the middle of the night, Jeff needing his sleep. It was just, there's no way. So I was home. And then suddenly I look, I'm like, okay, that chapter in my life has closed. I'm no longer on the road with Jeff anymore, which was really hard at first. But then just appreciating how temporary this time was when these boys were small and little. And I feel that way even now, and truly trying to appreciate and make the most out of every moment, all while accomplishing all the goals, because they are a big inspiration for me to be successful too. So I want them to look and think, okay, this is what my dad did. He was an amazing person. He made a lot of people laugh. And then my mom also did something really great too. And I've always sort of had that entrepreneurial spirit. Even as a kid, I took my first trip to Vegas when I was 12, and I came back and I was like, I went with my friend's family and came home and I was like, I'm going to build Vegas hotels. That was the most amazing place ever. It was so lit up and fun and amazing. There's restaurants and lights and, oh, I have to do that. And so that was my first little feel for that itch. And I've had it ever since. I just didn't quite know what it was I wanted to do until I was much older, of course.
Oh my
For
goodness.
Jeff, he figured it out when he was 8, which is pretty rare. But yeah, for me, it took until my 30s to kind of figure out what I wanted to do.
It's been something that you loved since you were so young, though. So that's really cool.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I can thank my mom for that one for sure.
So what are you up to in your spare time? What do you like to do? What are your hobbies?
Hobbies. What are those? I don't know. No, I do like getting in the gym. I have to say, even though it's not part of my career anymore, I do really enjoy getting in the gym for at least 30 minutes, 5 days a week. I feel like it's like my therapy. It helps me clear my mind. We do have a little TV in our home gym, and I'll watch YouTube videos on something that I'm interested in at that point. I just love that time. It's like my little escape, my way of clearing my head. And I just think of it that way. Yes, I need to stay healthy, but also this is really healthy for my brain to get in there and kind of just have a little break from everything. And then, so that's something that I make time for and is a top priority. And let's see what else. Oh, I love movies. I love watching movies. And so every year on the Oscars, I get really into that. I want to watch all the nominated movies and any sort of big blockbuster movie, any sort of superhero movie. I want to be there and experience it in the theater. And so that's another love of mine. And then just every night after the boys go to bed, Jeff and I will sit and watch something, even if it's just for 45 minutes to an hour before we go to bed. I just love getting lost in a story and see how movies are made. I just really admire directors and costume designers and set designers and the talent and all the work that goes into creating movies. And so that's a passion of mine as well. Just watching movies. Love it.
Oh, I concur. Oh, do you have a favorite?
Oh, several, and they're very different. Gone with the Wind is up there, just because it's so epic and what they did back then. And then, of course, Vivian Lee's character, just such a beauty. But she was so all in with her character, just so sassy. But she showed so much vulnerability, and the costumes, the dresses, just I loved all of it. And from a very young age, my parents were really into those old movies when I was a kid, and musicals, old time movies, and so I watched them all with my parents growing up. And the first time I saw that, I was like, oh, just felt deeply moved. So that's been at the top of my list. But I also love some fun movies too. Like I love Actually. Funny enough, as crazy as it sounds, I love Muppets Christmas Carol. I think it's one of the best movies. Just the music and everything. I just think they did a great job. Have you ever seen it?
I don't think I have. I may have. I don't know. I have a very bad memory. But
Muppets Christmas Carol, you got to watch it this Christmas. I think it's so great. Just
I'll do it while I'm making your cookies from your cookbook.
There you go. You can have like a little Christmas day where you're baking, and then you take the cookies into the family room, make some hot cocoa, enjoy the two, have a total sweet fest, watch a great movie.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I have a handful of favorites. Those are a couple of them.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome.
What's your favorite movie? I'm curious.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I have to think now. Huh. That's an interesting thing. I don't think I've ever thought about that.
Oh, okay. Well, if you think of it, then write me and let me know. I always think it's fun to hear.
I think maybe. Oh, it's so difficult. I think right now it's Smokey and the Bandit.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I lived between 1960 and 1988, so it's got to be somewhere in there.
Is that your favorite sort of time period?
Yeah, it's kind of. Yeah.
Ah, that's so cool. That's so great.
Music was the best back then. I lived then. Yeah.
Queen, and I see the Beatles back there. What else do we have?
Oh, here. I do this a lot.
Oh, the Sticks. Oh my goodness. Oh, Partridge Family. This is great. I think a lot of people who live through this time, they have the fear that that's all getting lost on the next generations. And so it's so nice to see that it's not. Like there's people out there that are still truly appreciate it, that are not over the age of 40. So,
I have a whole plan to bring this back into now. I don't know what I'm gonna do about it, but I think kids would really enjoy this if they just knew it existed. Like David Cassidy, I think there's a lot of people out there who are missing it, and oh my goodness,
oh my gosh, yes, I can't wait to see what you do with that. Please do.
I've made some videos. I'm not sure how I'm gonna further progress this, but I think it's gonna happen.
Yes, absolutely. And what's funny is that just in our own little world, in our experience, I mean, because really, I mean, if I feel like if the younger audiences don't experience this music, then they really truly are missing out. But so in our little world, Here Comes the Sun was always sort of a song for Jeff and myself. It was in our wedding, and it just kind of described our relationship. And when we met, it was just always sort of our song. And then when the boys were babies, like literally like 1 year old, we were hanging out in their bedroom and we had some music playing on the, I think it was just an iPad that we had out and playing some music. Here Comes the Sun comes on, and both boys walk over to the iPad and they're just mesmerized, and they're sort of like swaying and dancing. And so they have loved that song ever since. And it's just so wild because it was our song. And our boys are drawn to it. Even now we'll be driving in the car and they'll ask me to play it. So it's great. So that's our little experience with introducing the boys to the Beatles. And we took a trip to Hawaii recently. We were playing the Beach Boys quite a bit. We were inspired by our Hawaiian trip. And so we're still playing quite a bit of Beach Boys now at the house.
I find the Beach Boys to be absolutely fantastic. The harmonies with each one of them, goodness.
Jeff was just talking about that. He said that he did some research on the band and how they got started, and that was a big part of it. Yeah, that people kind of take for granted is the way that they created their songs and the harmonies, like you said, and just and how it all came together so wonderfully. And they truly are so unique. I don't think there's ever been a band quite like them.
No, I agree with that. Gosh. Oh man. I only discovered them and the Beatles very recently, actually, but at the moment I found them, I was drawn to them.
Yeah, that's it, right? Yeah, you find, and then you have sort of like your handful of favorite songs, and then they're just part of you.
Exactly. Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, you forgot I was here, didn't you? So, do you have? Oh, actually, I have to ask. You've made so many recipes. I have to know if you have a favorite that you have, one that you specifically like to make a lot.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, at this point in my life, just being busy, like I really love the recipes that are easy. So I have a stir fry recipe. I make quite a bit. Okay. I make a lot of soup. I think soup is a really nice way to get a lot of nutrients, and it fills you up, and it's just so comforting. We eat a lot of soup, even in the summer. So I have quite a few recipes for soups on my website and on my YouTube channel. And then Anything that has to do with cookies, and I love pancakes. Pancakes are like top. They're up there with the cookies, just top comfort food favorite.
Oh, that sounds good. Oh, I need a pancake right about now.
Yeah, pumpkin pancakes. As soon as the fall starts rolling around, I'm like,
I've never had
okay,
a pumpkin pancake. What is that like?
what? Oh my gosh, girl, you gotta have a pumpkin pancake. It's just, well, if you gotta like pumpkin spice. So every once in a while you meet a
Oh,
person like, no, I can't do the pumpkin spice. That's okay. But if you do love pumpkin spice, then I have a ton of recipes on my website. And one of them being the pumpkin cupcakes are exceptional. And so you're just basically taking canned pumpkin and using that in the recipes. And what it does is it creates a lot of moisture. So you'll have really nice texture. So whether it's cupcakes or pancakes, you just have like a really nice, yummy treat, delight. And then you bring in those pumpkin pie spices, because most people don't realize that canned pumpkin actually doesn't have pumpkin pie spice. You got to add that separately. So yeah, so normal pumpkin doesn't taste like pumpkin pie spice. So pumpkin spiced means it has pumpkin pie spice. There you go. So add quite a bit of that and you're well on your way to have a really amazing treat. And yeah, so that's my favorite time of year for sure. I love the autumn, and making anything with pumpkins, pumpkin pancakes being one of them for sure.
that sounds good.
Gotta do it, girl. I can't believe you haven't made a pumpkin pancake yet.
Herb, I think I know what we're gonna do today.
Yeah, and thankfully you can get pumpkin and pumpkin pie spice all year round. So there you go.
Yes, that's good. Oh,
Yes.
man, that's interesting. Yeah, that's good. Oh, I'm gonna do that. So do you have any projects that you might be able to share coming up?
So I do have the one, like I said, I just made a promise to the social media people I'm working with that I wouldn't talk about it until everything was ready and there was a website to go to. Everything's still kind of is coming together right now. We're finishing up. And so, yeah, I'm about to post some more recipes on the website, audreydunham.com. So just kind of be on the lookout for that. But then of course on social media, Instagram, Audrey Dunham, Facebook, YouTube, I'll be talking about the big project as soon as I can. I'll be making announcements. So there you go.
Oh, I can't wait. Oh, the anticipation. So unfortunately, we've reached our very last question.
Okay, let's hear it.
No!
It's been fun.
AnaLynne. Oh, okay, fine. Okay, Audrey, do you have any? Oh, Audrey, do you have any words of wisdom you can share with us?
Yes. There are a few phrases that have really helped me in my life, especially when you feel like you're really, really stuck or frustrated, or just, I guess the best word really is stuck for whatever reason. It could be whether it's with your career, with your relationship, with just making a decision in life that could really make a big difference or a big impact in your life. But one of the biggest mistakes you can make is to think you only have one option. And it's crazy to think how many different ways you can apply that in your life, and it can bring a lot of comfort and then also spark new ideas. So of course, with relationships, if you feel like you're with the wrong person, then the biggest mistake you can make is think there's only one option. So that's how that's applied. But then just with the job or if any kind of situation in life where you feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm stuck. And so there you go. That's one bit of advice. And then the other big saying that I live by is, everything is always changing. Nothing ever stays the same. So whatever you're going through right now is very temporary. No matter what, there's nothing you can do about it. So whether it's good or bad. So if things are good, you appreciate it, you love it, you stay present, you be thankful for it. And if things are rough, you remind yourself, everything's always changing. Nothing ever stays the same. And things are likely to get better. And so those are two sayings that I use quite a bit in my life.
Oh man, I love that. Oh, the positivity just radiates off of you.
Oh, thank you.
Well, thank you so much for coming on here and joining us and telling us all about you and the family and everything.
Oh, thanks, Sandy. It's been a pleasure. And I have to say that you radiate positivity as well. And over the years, just I've really enjoyed all the little messages and comments. Just been amazing. And your persistence is unbelievable. And I love that about you. And I hope that it never stops. And I'm curious to know, did you get that from a parent or was you just born with it? Is there somebody that tells you, yeah, go get it, go do this?
Oh, my parents are the most supportive people in the world, so I blame them.
I think that's a big part of it, having parents that are cheerleaders and they allow you to kind of explore and go after your dreams rather than say, I don't know, you sure you want to do that? It sounds like it might be kind of hard, or, I think that's actually how it was for Jeff as well. He had parents that cheered him on with everything he did. And so I have no doubt that you have an amazing future ahead of you, Sandy, because your personality that way, you're just a go-getter and you're persistent and you're a lovely person. And so I'm very happy you're doing this podcast because I think that it's just the start of many great things for you.
That's so sweet. Oh my goodness. Oh, thank you so much. That means everything.
Oh, well, thank you for being amazing all these years. I've really enjoyed our little comments back and forth. And I hope we stay in touch.
Yes, we will have to. Oh goodness. Thank you so much. All right, I'll hit the recording. Bye. Bye.
Okay. Bye. Thanks for having me.
Beyond the clouds and the rain, a place where your sadness drains, where the sun peers over your sadness and your pain. There is no gravity, yet within this cavity you make your own truth. This thing on? I don't know, I'm feeling very lion-theolic right now. Yeah, this is a little blossom, isn't it? Well, hi there, it's Sandy and AnaLynne here, and normally at the end of my interviews I just put a little something telling you where you can follow me, but I decided that was a little boring. Well, you can live with the idea, so obviously. So, we just wanted to verbalize the song, let you know you can follow me on Facebook under Sandy Netburn, as you can on Twitter, and what else do I use? YouTube, and you can follow me on Instagram under Sandy and Friends. Excuse me! What? Those are my accounts. I don't know why she feels the need to put her name on all those, but you guys know I'm the one who runs all those accounts. Yes, she runs all the accounts, all of them. You're doing a great job, AnaLynne. Thank you, I know I am. Yes, of course. So, we both hope you really enjoyed the interview, and stay tuned for more, because there's always more coming. Obviously, I take great care of this. She takes great care. Great. So, we'll see you soon. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye!